Okay, here's the deal. I'm tired of the fact that my son, Dragon Ranger 414, is 7 years old and he knows more redstone than I do. I don't know the first thing about redstone. I don't know the first thing about any of this stuff. Well, maybe I know the first thing, but definitely not the second thing. And I think that we should figure it out. And, I've watched a lot of redstone tutorials. They're all very, very good. But I feel like just trial and error is really what I need in order to be able to figure this stuff out. What is this thing back here? How do you use it? I know there's a minecart there. I know there's a lot of things we can do with it. We are going to figure out exactly what this is all about. And we're going to do it in a way that is fun and easy to do. Okay, we're going to break this up into several sections. The first of which is going to be items that provide power, otherwise known as power components. All the stuff that we're using, these are all called redstone components. Anything that interacts with redstone or provides some kind of power. And the first thing we're going to talk about is this here lever. First of all, it looks like the sun is going to set any minute, so let me change the time on here. Alright. This is a lever. A lever is very simple. I'm not going to go through a lot of crafting recipes because you could look those up. But the important thing to know is that there is something called a redstone pulse. There's also called a redstone signal. And this basically powers the block that it's on and any block adjacent to it when you flick it on. So you see this, it is currently on, it is providing redstone power, it's providing a signal into the block of stone as well as the adjacent redstone lamps. Now notice we have redstone lamps just diagonal and those are not being powered. We also notice we have redstone blocks of redstone lamps adjacent to the activated ones, and they're not lighting up. So it's important to recognize the fact that this will allow you to power the block directly adjacent. It's also important to recognize that this will stay on as long as the lever is on. This allows you to send a redstone signal permanently. It's not pulsed, it won't turn off, it'll only turn off if you turn off the lever. Moving right along, this is another demonstration. This is what happens when you turn a lever on. It powers the block directly on it and adjacent to it. I've proven it by putting it directly on a redstone lamp. You can put these on basically any opaque block. The same way that this stone block was powered, the redstone lamp is powered. Next, we're going to talk about buttons. Buttons will send a temporary redstone signal when you activate them. If you hit the button, it'll work for a temporary period of time and then it'll shut off. How long will they work for, you ask? Well, there's an answer to that. Depending on the material of the button, let's get over here a stone button so you can see the difference. A stone button will stay on for exactly 1 second. That's what they call 10 ticks in Tech Talk. 10 ticks in Tech Talk. That's 1 second. You see that? Stays on for exactly 1 second. Now, if you put a wooden block on, you notice the difference? It stays on for 1.5 seconds, otherwise known as 15 ticks in Tech Talk. Ticks in Tech Talk, that's what we're talking about today, folks. So if you want the button to stay on just a little bit longer, put down a wooden button. Next, we're going to talk about these doohickeys here called trapped chests. Why are they trapped? All they're doing is sending a redstone signal. Now, this is a regular chest. This is what they look like. This is the chest you've always interacted with in the game. However, this one, and you notice there's a little red outline around the buckle, is a trapped chest. And what's going to happen is that it's going to send a redstone signal to the adjacent blocks whenever you open it. If you notice, even though it's a little bit dark, just behind my inventory box, there is a lit redstone lamp. Watch this. You see that? Now, can you do that with a regular chest for demonstration purposes? No, you can't. You see that? It's not doing anything to the environment around it other than storing your items. Now, for demonstration purposes, let's put a redstone lamp underneath. What happens? It lights the lamp. Anything adjacent to it, just like a lever, just like a block of redstone, which we'll talk about. Will it activate this one? Yes, it will. Now, what happens if we just fill these up? Which ones get activated and which ones don't? Well, I don't think I can open this chest now, but let's get rid of that one. I guess I can't put a block directly above it because it won't open, but essentially anything that's around, I assume that these won't turn on, right? Correct. These will not turn on. Now my next question is, why is this diagonal redstone lamp turning on? Over here, anything diagonal to the powered box wouldn't work. However, I think that we can assume that it's similar to when you place a lever or a button directly on a component or a box that you're a block that you want activated. Well, I'm not sure, but let's figure this out. This is turning on these, so what happens if I take this away? That's what it is. Okay, so think of this trapped chest as a lever. We're activating a lever, and it's sending a redstone signal to the block directly adjacent to it. In this case, it's like putting a lever on this block right here. That's why it's activating it. That's why also these other two adjacent blocks, the ones directly to the left and to the right, get activated as well. If I were to take this away and I were to activate this chest, you see that the underneath blocks, the inferior-most blocks, they don't get activated. It's only because they were touching this, which was the block that was directly activated by the trap chest. Okay, we're moving right along. We're learning stuff. See, this is learning. This is learning right here. Trial and error. Next thing we're going to talk about is redstone block. What's a redstone block? Well, it's basically you take a crafting table and you craft 9 pieces of redstone dust inside of this matrix. A redstone block provides a permanent redstone signal. In other words, it's like having a lever on that never turns off. And it's going to do exactly the same thing. It's going to power the adjacent blocks. So, for demonstration purposes, hey guy, well, okay, that's pretty rude. Anyway, hey, get out of here. Seriously? Alright, so for demonstration purposes, this is not lighting up, that's not lighting up, this is not lighting up. However, this lights up. What does this mean? Well, I guess it means exactly what I just told you. It's going to light things up in this sort of a pattern and nothing else. Only the blocks that are directly adjacent or directly touching for our purposes. Again, if I put something down here, it doesn't light up. Now let me put this back because I like the way it looks. And it's cleaner that way. What's up, dude? You got something for me? We have ice. Well, alright. What a deal! And that's it? You don't want me to buy anything more from you? Coming back over to levers for 1 second, I just made another realization here. Not only will the lever power the block that it's attached to, but technically, because it is sitting in this block, when you turn it on, it will turn on this block directly diagonal to it, but it has to be interacting with the block that is directly ahead of the block that it's attached to. I don't know if that made any sense whatsoever, but basically this lever is occupying the space of the block directly above this redstone lamp that I'm pointing to. So this is why it's able to power it. Same thing happens when you have a lever directly on the block that you want to activate. If I put a block here, it's going to work. Now, if I come around, this will not work because there's no lever here interacting with the block directly above it or occupying the space of the block directly above it. So that's something probably to know, and this is why we're doing this. I'm just trying things out and seeing what works, baby. Okay, any questions? I can't hear you. Does anyone have any questions? I guess that means everything is perfectly crystal clear and we're going to move on. This, my friends, is a daylight sensor. What does a daylight sensor do? There you are. It senses daylight. We have daylight. When it senses daylight, it sends a redstone signal to the blocks directly adjacent to it, just like everything else we've talked about. Now you notice that it's basically the shape and size of a half slab. That's okay. It is technically occupying the entire space of this block and therefore will activate a block directly above it, even though it appears to us in the game like there's a space there. It will activate any block below it, but not diagonal to it. Again, if you're expecting it to light this up, it won't. However, if you have a block here, it will. Why? Because it's directly adjacent, but not here. Now let's show you what happens when it's not sensing daylight. Let's set the time to night. Okay, there's still a little daylight out there. See that? Okay. Still a little daylight and it's still on. Let's set the time now. Sorry. Let's set it to midnight. What happens? It shuts off. What happens if we put some light in here? Will it turn on because it senses light? We're going to put a sea lantern in here. Get rid of this ice. I don't even know why we bought this ice. You know when you see something that's on sale and you buy it? Some of you people out there may know that when things are on sale, you may be compelled to buy it. Well, ice was on sale, so I bought it, but I really have no use for ice right now. Anything? 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 We're providing a lot of light here. Put a lot of source blocks for light down, and this daylight sensor is not activating. So it's not light. It's not a light sensor. It is a daylight sensor. It will work when you set the time or when it naturally happens that the time turns to day, i.e. when the sun rises. You guys see that? Nothing happens unless the sun is out. Okay.